In this video, we're focused on jazz piano intros and endings. My name is Tobey from jazzmental.com. Thanks for joining me. I had a question recently from Hague Jazz who says he wants to get some information on how to approach an introduction for a piece of music in jazz. Now, there are many ways to approach that, but I've got some keen insights that are really going to help you. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to play an introduction to a song. I'm not going to tell you which song it is. Maybe you can guess what it is from the introduction, but eventually I get into the piece and there you'll be able to recognize it. So see how quickly you can catch on to which tune it is. And then we're going to start to talk about all of the things that go into that introduction and how I typically approach it. All right, let's get going in just a second. Okay, let me play an introduction for you. It's going to be about a minute and try to figure out which tune it is, because the whole point of an introduction is to kind of disguise the tune a bit and then eventually get into the melody. So see how long it takes you to figure out what song it is, and then we're going to come back and discuss what I'm doing and how it's going to help you create some better intros for your music. All right, let's get going. All right, we're back. So I don't know how long it took you to figure out that it was What Is This Thing Called Love by Cole Porter. And if you take a look at the sheet music here in front of you now, what you'll notice is that I am focused on motifs. So this motif here repeats itself in several places here. And this is also the way that I approach composition. In fact, I've got a couple of videos where I compose on those videos, and I'm going to put a link up here in the corner to those videos if you want to check that out afterward, because it's really about melody that has this consistency of motif. And in this particular case, it's so it kind of repeats itself over and over again. So in my introduction, what I want to do is in most cases, want to follow very loosely the chord changes. So the chord changes in this particular case are G minor 7 flat 5 to C7 of some kind to F minor 7. So what I might do is I might loosely follow that around. And state the melody here and there. So that's really the whole point of an introduction, is you want to make hints to the melody and those couple of motifs, and then obviously hitting the melody notes wherever you can. So a combination of those two things. So for example, you don't have to play the exact melody, but just use that motif like I did here. And I did follow the chord structure, which is, here. And then as you go through the piece, you might want to, when you get to the bridge where it's going, again, following the tune all the way through makes a great introduction, but sidestepping chords, inserting different chords, stepping outside the key of the moment, that kind of thing all lends itself into a great introduction. Now, of course, you also want to do some arpeggiating. You also want to play some scales. And some chords as well. So you got those three things to choose from. Also, in terms of rhythm, you don't necessarily want to play it in time. In fact, my entire introduction that I played was totally rubato, meaning faster, slower. It doesn't follow any sort of normal time signature. So let's take another whack at it, and maybe there's some things that I'm playing that I can point out to you. So let's do another introduction a little bit. That's an interesting thing, playing just the scale upward and following it with the left hand. And then keep going. There's also little hints of jazz in there in terms of like Stitt's bits, and I've got some videos that you might want to check out about Stitt's bits, where you're taking these very common jazz phrases or little small bits and phrases and interjecting them too. For example, now if that was played in time, it would be more like this. But what I'm doing is I'm playing it out of time. I need to talk about that a little bit. So there's what we call block chords that sort of play the melody together on octaves, but you've got chords in the middle. And sometimes they're not completely octaves on the outside. It might stretch to a ninth. And the point of the introduction is to make it sort of interesting technically, interesting harmonically, and interesting melodically by throwing in all kinds of these different ideas. And again, I'm loosely following the chords as they're going through the piece. So I do, let's do it one more time, but let's follow the chords exactly and see what happens. And then what you try to do is find a way to get the rhythm in there of the speed you want to play the tune and introduce it so that the other musicians can follow you without having you to go 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, which always kind of interrupts the feel. So let's just finish off the piece and let's see if we can create some feel and rhythm so that the other musicians can follow. So last 8 bars. All right, so I hope you got some ideas from that. If you have any other questions and you want me to dive into the introductions a little bit further, give you some more ideas, there's a ton of them that I can give you, but I think that's a pretty good cross-section of things that you can try for your next introduction to your jazz piece. If you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot for your time.